They had everything money could buy, but not the one thing they truly needed, love.
Adeyemi Williams was the kind of man people envied. 32, billionaire, owner of one of the biggest tech companies in Africa. Private jets, luxury homes, a name that opened doors before he even knocked. But every night, he went home to silence. No laughter, no one waiting. Just the echo of a life that looked full, but felt empty. On the other side of the city was Bukola Lawrence, daughter of a global fashion empire, elegant, intelligent, untouchable. Her life was a masterpiece curated for the world to admire. But behind closed doors, she was suffocating. Every relationship she ever had felt like a transaction. Men loved her name, her beauty, her status, but never her. They weren't looking for love, not anymore. And that's exactly when they found each other. It was at a charity gala. Gold lights, champagne glasses, fake smiles. The kind of place where everyone pretends to care and no one really does. Adeyemi stood by the balcony, uninterested, watching the city below, alone as usual. Until, do you ever get tired of pretending to enjoy this? He turned, and there she was, Bukola, holding a glass of wine, eyes sharper than anyone in the room. He smirked slightly, every single time. She smiled, not the practiced, perfect smile the world knew, a real one. And in that moment, something shifted. They talked for hours, not about money, not about status, but about things they never told anyone else. Loneliness, pressure, the weight of being perfect all the time. For the first time in years, Adeyemi wasn't the billionaire. He was just Adeyemi. And Bukola, she wasn't the heiress. She was just a woman who wanted to be seen. Days turned into weeks, private dinners, late-night drives, conversations that lasted until sunrise. And slowly, they fell in love. Not loudly, not dramatically, but deeply, quietly. Dangerously real. But love isn't always enough, especially in their world. Adeyemi's business began to suffer. Investors questioned his focus. Rumors spread. She's distracting him. She's after his empire. Meanwhile, Bukola's family disapproved. He's not right for you. He'll ruin everything we've built. Pressure turned into tension. Tension turned into distance. One night, in Adeyemi's penthouse, the silence returned. But this time, they weren't alone. "You're changing," Bukola said quietly. Adeyemi looked away. "No, I'm just seeing things clearly now." Her voice broke. "Or maybe you're just becoming who they want you to be." And just like that, the love that felt so right started falling apart. They didn't end with a fight. No screaming, no drama, just pain, too heavy to carry. "If loving me is costing you everything," Bukola whispered, "then maybe I'm not worth it." Adeyemi didn't respond, because deep down, he didn't know if he was strong enough to choose her. And so they walked away, from each other, from what could have been everything. Months passed. Adeyemi became more successful than ever, bigger deals, more power, more recognition. But at night, he still looked at the empty space beside him and felt nothing. Bukola moved on too. More events, more attention, more people around her. But every time someone said, "I love you," it felt hollow. Because deep down, they both knew they had already found something real and let it go. 1 year later, same city, different lives. Adeyemi stood in front of a mirror, suit perfect, expression empty, and for the first time, he said it out loud. "I chose everything except the one thing that mattered." At that exact moment, across the city, Bukola whispered the same truth. "I let fear cost me the only love that felt real." Love doesn't always come back,
But sometimes it waits. Adeyemi showed up at her door. No cameras, no luxury, no pride. Just honesty. When she opened it, they didn't speak. They didn't need to, because in their eyes was everything they never said. "I don't want a perfect life anymore," Adeyemi said softly. "I just want a real one, with you." Tears filled her eyes, and for the first time in her life, she didn't think about consequences or expectations or fear. She just chose love. They didn't become perfect. They didn't fix everything overnight, but they learned something most people never do, that love isn't about what you have. It's about what you're willing to risk. And sometimes the richest people in the world are the ones brave enough to choose each other.
In the same city is another set of persons, dark version of Adeyemi and Bukola Chronicle. They had everything except mercy. They weren't broken people. They were worse. They were perfect people who knew exactly how to destroy each other. Stephen Daniel didn't believe in love. He believed in control. Every deal he signed, every person he met, every room he walked into, he owned it. And when you own everything, you stop needing people. Also across the city, Josephine Lucas didn't believe in love either. She believed in survival. Raised in a world where affection was currency and loyalty expired quickly, she learned early, if you don't use people, they will use you. Two powerful people, two dangerous minds, and neither of them knew they were about to meet their equal. It wasn't a romantic meeting. It wasn't fate. It was a collision. A private gala, closed doors, old money, new power. Stephen noticed her because she wasn't trying to be noticed. Josephine noticed him because he wasn't trying to impress anyone. That's how predators recognize each other. "Do you trust anyone in this room?" she asked. Stephen didn't hesitate. "No." She nodded slowly. "Good. That makes two of us." That was the beginning, not of love, but of something far more dangerous. They didn't fall in love, they became addicted to the honesty, the sharpness, the way neither of them pretended. With her, Stephen lost control. With him, Josephine dropped her guard. And that terrified them, because people like them don't love, they conquer, they calculate, they protect themselves at all costs. But this felt like losing. Late nights turned into confessions, confessions turned into vulnerabilities, and vulnerability is a dangerous currency in a world like theirs. It didn't break suddenly. It rotted, slowly, silently. Stephen started watching her more closely, questioning things, testing her. Josephine noticed. Of course she did. "You don't trust me," she said one night. Stephen's voice was calm. A trust patterns, not people. That's when it shifted. Because Josephine had spent her whole life proving she couldn't be controlled, and now she was starting to feel trapped. Love turned into strategy. He tested her loyalty. She tested his limits. Small lies, calculated silence, emotional distance used like a weapon. They weren't fighting. They were studying each other, learning weaknesses, pushing boundaries, because deep down, they were both waiting for the other to break first. And then, someone did. It wasn't dramatic, no shouting, no scene, just one decision that changed everything. Stephen made a move in business that indirectly destroyed something Josephine cared about. He called it strategy. She called it betrayal. "You knew what that meant to me," she said, voice shaking. Stephen didn't deny it. "I knew what it cost." Her eyes hardened. "And you did it anyway." Silence. Because he did. That's when love died. Not instantly, but violently. Josephine didn't cry. She adapted. She walked away,
but not empty-handed. Because if there's one thing she learned growing up, it's how to leave damage behind. Soon, Stephen's empire started shaking. Leaks, internal conflicts, deals collapsing. He knew it was her. And strangely, he didn't stop it. Because for the first time in his life, he felt something real. Pain. They were no longer lovers. They were ghosts haunting each other's lives. Every success felt empty. Every silence felt loud. They tried to move on, but people like them don't move on. They circle back. Because when you've experienced something real in a fake world, nothing else satisfies. 1 year later, no warnings, no planning, they met again. Same city, different scars. "You look the same," Josephine said. Stephen shook his head. "No, I just learned how to hide it better." A pause, heavy, unfinished. "Did you ever love me?" she asked. Stephen's answer came slower this time. "Yes." She swallowed. "Then why did you destroy me?" He stepped closer, voice low. "Because I didn't know how to love you without losing myself." Silence. Because that was the truth. They didn't get closure. They didn't fix anything. Some stories don't end with healing. Some end with understanding that love, in the wrong hands, is just another weapon. And sometimes, the most dangerous thing you can do is find someone who feels like home in a world you were built to survive.
If I can't have you, no one will. Love didn't ruin them. They ruined love. Because when two people who were never taught how to be loved finally find something real, they don't protect it. They test it, break it, and if necessary, destroy it. Stephen Daniel built his life on control, every outcome calculated, every risk measured. Josephine Lucas built hers on survival, every smile rehearsed, every emotion negotiable. When they met, it wasn't chemistry, it was recognition, like two weapons realizing they were pointed at each other. What they had wasn't love, it was exposure. They saw each other clearly, too clearly. His fear of losing control, her fear of being used. But instead of running, they leaned closer, because pain that feels familiar feels like home. And soon, they became inseparable, not because they were safe, but because they were dangerous in the same way. Stephen made the first mistake. He chose power over her. A business move, clean, efficient, but it quietly destroyed something tied to Josephine's past, something she never told him mattered. He knew. He did it anyway. Not for profit, but to answer a question. Will she stay even after I hurt her? She did. And that was his biggest miscalculation. Because Josephine didn't forgive him, she studied him. She learned his routines, his habits, his blind spots. She listened more, spoke less, loved him more convincingly than ever. And Stephen, for the first time, stopped questioning things. He thought he had won, but he had just stopped paying attention. The revenge wasn't loud, it was patient. Deals began collapsing, investors withdrew quietly, information leaked at the exact wrong moments. Nothing obvious, nothing traceable, just enough to weaken him, day by day, piece by piece, until control, the one thing Stephen built his identity on, started slipping. Stephen knew something was wrong, but he didn't pull away from her. He got closer, because deep down he suspected the truth,
And part of him didn't want to stop it, because the chaos she created made him feel something. Fear, pain, loss, things he had been numb to for years, and that terrified him more than losing everything, because it meant she mattered. He finally confirmed it. Every betrayal, every loss, every crack in his empire led back to Josephine, not directly, but perfectly, like a signature hidden in plain sight. He found her where it all began, the same balcony, same city lights. "You planned this," Stephen said. Josephine didn't deny it. "I adapted," she replied calmly. "You destroyed me." She looked at him, not cold, not angry, just honest. "No, Stephen." A pause. "I showed you what you did to me." Silence stretched. "You could have walked away," he said. Her voice softened. "I tried." Another pause. "But you don't walk away from something that finally made you feel alive." Stephen stepped closer. "You think this is revenge?" A faint smile appeared on his face. "This isn't revenge." Josephine frowned slightly. "This is exactly what I wanted." Her expression changed, just slightly. For the first time, uncertainty. "I needed to lose everything," Stephen continued, "to know if what I felt for you was real." A long pause. "And it is." Her voice dropped. "You let me destroy you?" He nodded slowly. "Because now," he stepped even closer, "there's nothing left but you." That's when Josephine realized she didn't win. She didn't get revenge. She walked exactly where he wanted her to. Because now he had nothing left to lose. And people with nothing left to lose are the most dangerous of all. Days later, the news broke. A massive financial scandal. Evidence, records, names, all traced back to Josephine. Perfectly placed, impossible to escape. Stephen turned himself in too, confessing to everything, dragging both of them down, together. Because if he couldn't control her, he could make sure she never escaped him. They lost everything: power, freedom, identity. Now they sit in separate cells, same city, same silence, years apart, but still connected by one truth. They were the only ones who ever truly understood each other. One night, a letter arrives in Josephine's cell. No name, no signature, just one line. "If I had to lose everything just to keep you in my world." A pause. "I'd do it again." Josephine stares at the words, and for the first time, in a very long time, she smiles. Not of happiness, but of recognition. Because even now, even after everything, they are still playing the same game, and neither of them ever wanted it to end.
If you felt this story, then you understand. Some love doesn't heal. It destroys. Tell me in the comments, was it love or just obsession? Don't forget to subscribe for more dark stories like this, because the next one gets even worse.